I'm a member of the NATO Parliamentary Assembly. It's really an organization designed around legislators from all our NATO countries. It's been in existence over 50 years. Since the legislative bodies in most chambers are the funding for the military, it's important that the legislative body talks about NATO's role in the past, in the present, and in the future. During my time as a member of the NATO Parliamentary Assembly, I became great friends with a member of the British Parliament who recently passed away, and I'd like to pay tribute to him. Mr. Speaker, I would like to pay tribute to my British friend and colleague, Frank Cook, who passed away on January 12th. Frank was a longtime colleague of mine in the NATO Parliamentary Assembly. As you know, the Assembly brings together members of Congress with their counterparts from Canada and Europe to talk about issues that concern us all. As a leading member of the Defense Security Committee, Frank Cook made vital contributions in debates in the Assembly from the mid-1980s to 2010 on issues as widely ranging as Afghanistan, arms control with Russia, NATO's operation in Kosovo, and its relations with Ukraine and other partners. He also served as Vice President of the Assembly. Frank embodied the spirit of the Transatlantic Alliance. He was never shy to express his opinions with a clear mind and a sharp wit. Even when Frank and I disagreed on policy, we remained friends and allies because we shared the values that underpin NATO: freedom, democracy, fundamental human rights, and the rule of law. We both believed that the NATO alliance was critical to our collective security and defense, and that we as legislators in our own countries needed to do everything we could to make sure it was capable of meeting the threats we face in the 21st century. I can recall many unforgettable experiences I've shared with Frank. I observed him lead a forceful debate on the controversial issues and get all sides mad, like a debate he held on Nagorno-Karabakh in Quebec in 2006. He and I took incoming artillery fire from the Taliban in Kandahar airfield in 2007. During the summer of 2010, we visited Greenland together. We visited a military encampment called Point North, which is north of the Arctic Circle. The dogs there pull sleds and provide early warning for polar bears. They appear quite scary, but Frank was the first to amble up and pet them. Frank was a throwback to a time when characters could be listed, and by being listed, that in parliamentary speak, that means being put on the party list for election. So Frank was a throwback at a time when characters could be listed and serve constituencies. But perhaps my most memorable experience is when Frank would regularly treat us with the best performance of My Way I've ever heard since old Blue Eyes himself. Not a small feat for a Brit. I learned a great deal from him and he will be deeply missed by many of his friends at the NATO Parliamentary Assembly and here in Congress.